Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at some of the whiskeys and bourbons that I passed on in the month of August. Run the video. All right then folks, thank you for joining us for another new and exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove, where we will be looking into the whiskeys that I passed up, and there's a couple of other different things sprinkled in there too, last month in the month of August. Let me know down below, did I mess up on any of these? Maybe was there some of them underpriced, or should I go back and get them? So I asked last time for you to folks give me some feedback if there's something you'd like to see in the future. We had some awesome comments on the video, but most importantly, the thing that stood out the most was the average view percentage was as high on that video as there's ever been on any of my other videos. So give the people what they want, and this is why we're bringing it back for another episode. With that being said, today's episode is sponsored by the one and only Zbiotics. Zbiotics is almost a 12-month sponsor here on the Whiskey Cove. A lot of what we do wouldn't be possible without them. So this is a 60-second advert for those wonderful folks there at Zbiotics. So Zbiotics is the world's first pre-alcohol probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to help you feel better the morning after. So here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Zbiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the evening and you'll feel the best tomorrow. Obviously, drink responsibly, have a good night's sleep, and have a lot of water to be able to help you on the way there. So Zbiotics is so good, and they stand by their products so much that they have a 100% no qualms return policy. And the best part is as well, if you use my code down in the description, there's a QR on the screen right now, you can get a discount off your first order, and that also works on their subscription service there. So go ahead, go on over to Zbiotics, punch in Whiskey Cove for your 10% off your first order, and again, that works on the subscription service. Thank you to Zbiotics for making this episode and others like it happen. With that being said, let's get into today's video, and we do of course have the trusty laptop where we will be pulling up the pictures that we were able to see. So snapping, taking a few photos here and there. So as you can see, we'll just get straight into it. The first one here. There's a couple of decent bottles in this picture. We have Elijah Craig, the Toasted. We kind of see that everywhere. I don't really need to go out and stock up on it. It's quite popular here in Colorado for MSRP. For $150, we definitely were not going to pay that much for it. But the one I want to drag your attention to is the Sam Houston 15. It was $150. With tax, it's probably looking more closer to $170. I think that's kind of in line for Sam Houston. I think it was a little bit pricey. I remember seeing a 12 a few years ago, but I think $10 per year isn't too bad. Should I go back and pick this up? Also, they have the Calumet Farm there as well, but I felt like Sam Houston was the main one to look for in this one. And this was one of the ones that I really thought about picking up. So did I make a mistake? Let me know down below. Next up, as you can see, we had an opportunity to buy some Traveler whiskey here for $43. And of course, we definitely passed up on that. Then we headed on over to Costco, and that is because Costco dropped this new, actually it's new, it's been out for a while because I think they're on Discovery Batch 12 by now, but this was the Discovery Batch 10. So this was the first bottle of the new label, kind of like that white and red label, and for $120. I don't think that the Bardstown Discovery batch has been that cheap since like batch 4. You just don't see it for this price. I've been meaning to put my hand in my pocket for a little while to get one of these, and I didn't get one. So did I make a mistake on getting that bottle there? Staying with Costco, they also had some Elijah Craig, Larsenelli barrel proof. I believe this was the B523 batch, which again is pretty good money for $56. Very fortunate that Costco's around me kind of have them there for that price almost all the time. So anytime I want to get a Larsenelli, I'll go in and get it there. They also had Lagavulin 16, which is a great single malt Scotch for $100, which is an excellent price. If I was shopping for Scotch, I probably would have lent into that. However, we didn't get that one this time. So then next up, we have this very, very strange Buffalo Trace single barrel here. So the store said, and you'll see from the picture here, that this was a single barrel pick, but I've never seen a Buffalo Trace single barrel pick that has not had the stickers on the side, because these bottles were completely plain, nothing on them stated that it was a single barrel pick, and the regular Buffalo Trace on the shelf was $29.99, and this store was charging $37 to what I think was just regular Buffalo Trace. I don't know if there was some sort of miscommunication between like the store clerk and the owner about what Buffalo Trace goes in this spot. However, if people are picking these up, then they're wasting a few dollars, because this, I don't think, is a store pick. At the same store then, they also had a bunch of Smoke Wagon malted rye, Blender's Cut, and then like a couple of other ones at reasonable prices. I just took this picture because a lot of places can't find Smoke Wagon, but as you can see here in Colorado, we don't have a problem with that at all. All of this are kind of like really great prices and for MSRP. Moving on to a few bottles that was not MSRP, and that's just this picture. So you'll see a couple of really great bottles here. Eagle Rare, actually a single barrel, Russell's 15, and a bunch of Abuelos, and even Handy at reasonable prices. I say the Handy was $570, that's not a reasonable price. However, what is a reasonable price is that Russell's 15, yes, it was $300, but MSRP on it is about $270, so it wasn't really too far off. And did I pass up on it, or did I buy it? So, I passed up on it, and that is because that price was only available if you used a certain amount of points in store. So you built points by purchases, and then instead of getting money off whiskey, you unlocked a certain tier of whiskey that you're able to spend on. And I don't spend that much money, if any, at this store, so I couldn't buy the Russell's 15, but I was trying to. As you can see, everything else, even though you're supposed to unlock it with your points, is overpriced. And move on to the next picture, you can see they had some Stag there as well for $160. Little Bookers and Blantons and El Matili. It's still all overpriced, so I don't know what the game is with that point system. Maybe it's to lull people into a false sense of security. And as you can see, I took a few pictures here that talks a little bit about what that point system looks like. And I can be sure that they'll be having a lot of this whiskey on their shelves for a long time to come if this is their point system. Not one I necessarily agree with, because yes, if it was at MSRP, I would agree with that because it's rewarding the loyal customers. But to have people to spend money at that store for like their regular drink, the regular whiskey, and then have to spend over secondary, it just doesn't make any sense. They also had this Whistle Pig Piggy Bank Rye. This wasn't something that I needed points to spend on, but I'm not looking to spend $255 for the Whistle Pig Piggy Bank Rye. I know this is a bottle actually that a lot of people are looking for. Again, I wasn't looking for that. But what they did have at this store, which I'll give them kudos for, is some of the stuff that they had on the shelves were somehow harder to find stuff that they probably didn't know they had, and then also reasonable priced. And as you can see, they have a bunch of Doc Swinsons there, which is some of my favorite whiskey in this world. They had the Doc Swinson Bottled in Bond Rye, the 7-year, which is $72, which is a one that I really like. And they had a couple of the other ones as well, like the Rum and Tequila Cask Finish, the Tres Amigos. That's a popular one as well, at pretty solid prices. They also had all of the Redwood cask strengths, along with the 2 bonded ones are there at, again, reasonable prices, because they all should be about $80 MSRP, and I think they were right in line with their cask strength ones, but I think they were a little high on the bonded ones. That's my personal opinion. They also had a couple of the high rest different ones. They had the Chardonnay barrels that we saw in the last episode of this one, and again for the Barbados rum barrels, like $65. I don't like to see it at that price. However, that's the new MSRP for these bottles. And then lastly, at this store they had these 2 bottles here, and I'm not too familiar with Forgate because it's not something that you can find very easily here in Colorado. I actually passed over a couple of bottles while I was in Kentucky too, but they had these 2 bottles. They had the Split Stave by Kelvin, and they also had the Brazilian Amburana cask. And see, for me personally, if I'm going to get a Brazilian Amburana, I'm not going to pay $250 for it. I'm just going to go out and pick up like a $70 bottle of Doc Swinson's, which is MGP, around 7 years, finishing an Amburana barrel. I think, what are you paying for that? Yes, I know Forgate is quite expensive. I was thinking about that, the Split by Kelvin one next door to it. So please tell me if I should go back and get this bottle, because again, not something that we see in Colorado all too much, and I haven't tried a Forgate, and is that a good place to start for it there? And next up, we have something to have some fun with. There's the Weller Special Reserve 750 milliliter for $100, and of course I was not going to get that. And then you also have a bottle of Blantons for $150. So if you want a bottle of Blantons and a bottle of Weller Special Reserve, $250 is what you'll be throwing down for that bottle. So this is a store in Lafayette called Atlas Valley Wine and Provisions here in Colorado. And this is kind of like this store pick kind of end cap. And I was talking about in a recent video, 7 whiskeys, where are they gone now? And I said that you didn't see the Elijah Craig small single barrel 94 proofs anymore. However, as soon as I said that, I've started seeing them crop up again. So I don't know if they were listening to that video, but again, you can see that it was at $39. I think that's kind of right in line, maybe a little too pricey. I didn't get that one because it was only an 8-year, and I think the regular Elijah Craig is only an 8-year as well, so I didn't get that. But they had a couple of other good offerings as well. Some Copper Sky stuff, which we really like on this channel, and then some Smoke Wagon. They had an Elijah Craig Private Select as well, and then they also had some like Good Times stuff that you see on the bottle. Good Times do some okay stuff. It's kind of like blended MGP, then finished in the Select barrel. But of course, you know, if I'm going to get that, I'll probably just stick with something like Doc Swinson's. Staying at the same store, and they also had some Doc Swinson stuff there. So I've been looking for the Doc Swinsons finished on Garayana wood for a while. That's a local wood to the Pacific Northwest. And I did pick up a bottle. I picked up a couple of bottles of these actually. And not only was I able to find it, they were doing a sale on it for like $60, which is a phenomenal price. So I picked up 2 of those bottles. I picked up one, and then I picked up another backup one. But they also had some really other interesting stuff, like the Oloroso finish one, and then the Pinot de Chateauneuf, or whatever, how you pronounce that, excuse my French. But I think they were a little bit high on that. I think that price is more closer to 70, 75, and I wasn't really looking for that, so I didn't really need to fall over myself to get it. Only a few left here and some really good ones. First up, and we saw our first Papillon Winkle that we've seen for a long time. As you can see, they've changed the price tag, looks like, on there a fair few times in accordance to the make-believe market that lives in the clouds. They were asking $1,000 for that bottle. If you weren't quite feeling that, next door was $150 for the Weller Special Reserve. E.H. Taylor Single Barrel was $150, which is still a lot, but in compared to those other two, was crazy talk. They also had, if you look a little bit above, the Hibiki Limited Edition, I think for $250. Yes, that is a little bit pricey, but I think that's quite a sought-after bottle. But again, not one that I'm really looking for. They had the Travelers there as well, and they had a couple of Bookers and a Midwinter Night's Dram. You can't really see the price on that, but I bet it's not cheap. The Bookers look like they were at 120 maybe. Is that a 2? Is that a 1? No, that's a 1. So they're 120 each for the Bookers. A little bit pricey for me, so I skipped on that. However, on the shelf, they had the Fortaleza Tequila for $80 for the Blanco. I know a lot of you folks, when I've mentioned them on the channel, always like me to kind of cover these tequilas. So I did see one of the Blancos and it was at $80. I skipped on that. I'm not really a Blanco tequila fan. Maybe I should have got it to kind of have just here in the Whiskey Cove for people who like to come over. We have a Reposado here already, which brings me to my next bottle. In a different store, we saw a Fortaleza Reposado for $95. So the last one I bought, I think I paid like $65, and I wasn't willing to pay $30 to get another Repo. I just like them in a tequila. However, again, I know this is kind of like a Blanton's or something like that. People do pay these prices for it because these bottles are very hard to get in different states, and for whatever reason, we get them a lot here in Colorado, so we kind of appreciate that. Couple more left here for you folks. Again, 2 bottles of Bookers, $105. So I've been meaning to kind of put my hand in my pocket and buy a Bookers for a couple of years. I'm waiting on a good one. And this is the 2024-02. This is the Beam House batch. So if anybody's tried the Beam House batch, let me know. $105 is a little above MSRP, but it's not too crazy. It's enough that, you know, I could pull the trigger on it. Should I go back and get that? And then they also had this Woodford Reserve, the historical barrel entry batch, 18 for $170. Again, I think these special Woodford Reserve bottles are a little bit pricey. We picked up a special Woodford Reserve bottle when we were in Kentucky, which is a video I've been meaning to do for a while. We need to talk a little bit about that, and we will, so definitely look out for my Kentucky haul video coming out here soon. But still, I just think that they're kind of overpriced for what they are. And then lastly, this is the allocated list that I had a choice to get from. So it's a little bit unfortunate. So if we let's a little look on the left list, they had some of these like fancy bottles here, some tequilas, some Corazon, French and Coke's Expression. Like I said, I wasn't really interested in getting any of those. I've already got a Repo, and I think $90 is a little bit too much. I'm not really interested in the Añejos. Again, I think the Añejo ones are really hard to find. These ones on the left are like specialty. You can get it like you can get one of each, but yeah, it's not part of the allocated program. And then the one on the right here was their specialty allocated program. So you could pick one up every 2 months, I believe, from this side. And they had Shanks there for 140 bucks, which is a little pricey. Shanks is about 113 these days. Again, they had another Booker's, which was a little bit pricey. Again, I saw another one of those Whistle Pigs for 250. I think the MSRP on those are high anyway, but I'm not a Whistle Pig fan. And you can see then the last two is the Orphan Barrel Indigo's Hour, which that bottle always runs quite expensive as it is. And then the High West Midwinter Night's Dram Act 11, which is funny, they still have that bottle from this last year, and High West are just about to put out another one here in October, so they better bring that price down or just throw it on the shelf. There shouldn't be an allocated bottle anymore by the looks of things. I didn't buy any of the one from that list. I took a pass on it this time, and I actually went back and picked up a bottle of Blantons at a later date to kind of use up my allocated, which wasn't too bad. I think it was like $80, so I was okay with that. So from everything on this list, obviously I passed on it, but should I have gone back to get it? I think maybe that Sam Houston 15, then also think about the Discovery over in Costco, and maybe one of those Booker's ones as well, or maybe heck, even the old Rip for $1,000. So again, please help us out here with the algorithm, comment down below, and definitely hit that like button. I would really appreciate that as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time. Cheers.